welcome to Lovin' Life's Journey DIY. I'm Chantel. Thank you so much for being here. In today's video, we are going to be doing some quick and easy and budget-friendly DIYs for spring and Easter. And then I will be doing my February wrap-up, which just means that I will be reviewing very quickly all of the DIY projects that I made in the month of February, and I will include the links to those in the description box below. Also, I'll give just a really quick personal and family update, kind of what's been going on in February. But before we do that, let's jump in and get started on these spring and Easter DIYs.
For this project, I will be using this sign from Dollar Tree, and I really like how it has the 3 panels and it is already pre-stained with that dark wood stain. I'll also be using 2 of these little plastic planters. These come in a 3-pack at Dollar Tree. I'm going to use some florals that I just had on hand. You can use any kind of spring florals that you'd like. And I'll be using my chiffon cream Rust-Oleum chalk paint. And also some spray paint, chalk paint in the same color. The first thing I'm going to do is cut my little planters in half, and so you definitely want to make sure you have the thin plastic planters so that it is easy to do this. I'm going to turn my planter upside down on a piece of paper and trace around the top of the planter. Then I'm going to cut out that circle and fold it in half. This is going to help me determine kind of where the halfway point is on my planter. I'm going to set my planter back on that half circle and mark the edges of the planter with a Sharpie marker right where that fold is on the center of that circle, that paper. And then I'm going to just kind of eyeball a line that goes up and over the planter at the halfway point, just trying to get this as straight as possible. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but just close. Then I'm going to use my razor knife and cut the planter in half along that line. It is a little bit stubborn along the rim and then the bottom of the planter, just because the plastic is thicker there. So I did take a pair of wire cutters and kind of snip that to cut through the rim. Do want to be careful though, because you can crack the planter. And I am cutting both of the little planters in half. Now that I have my planters cut in half, I'm going to use a pair of scissors and just try to even up the edges a little bit, because I want them to be as flat as possible so that they will sit flush up against my sign. I am just using 3 halves of the planters, and now I'm going to take them out and give them a good couple of coats of this spray paint. While I'm waiting for my spray paint to dry, I'm going to take my sign and I'm going to use a little bit of that chiffon cream chalk paint and dry brush some of that on top of the sign, just to kind of tone down the dark brown wood stain that's already on that and give it more of a farmhouse look. I did end up giving my planters about 3 light coats of spray paint, and now that that's completely dry, I'm going to use some Antique Wax by Waverly and this little dry chippy brush from Dollar Tree. This is the best brush for dry brushing, and I'm going to go over my planters to distress them and antique them as well. And now I'm going to attach my pots to the sign. I am leaving about 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch at the bottom of the sign, and I'm using some hot glue to attach this, just trying to be very careful not to get too much glue so it's not squishing out the sides. Now that I have my pots on my sign, I'm going to take my florals and decide which ones I want to put in which pots. Just going to cut off the pieces of the florals and just start arranging them in the little pots. I really love how farmhouse this is. I love that I can change it out for the different seasons. And it was just really simple and quick and easy and inexpensive to make. For this project, I will be using a lavender floral stem and some burlap fabric that I picked up at Walmart. I'll also be using an embroidery hoop that I had on hand. I believe I ordered mine from Amazon. You can get them at Walmart or any other hobby store. I'm going to be using some spray paint and this metal spring word sign from Dollar Tree, as well as some jute twine. The first thing I'm going to do is spray paint the galvanized spring word so that that can be drying while I'm working on the rest of my project. And I realized while I was doing this how terrible the top of our deep freezer looks. I probably just need to spray paint it. But this deep freeze is older than I am. My parents actually had this before I was born, so it's allowed to look bad. So while my paint is drying, I'm going to take my burlap fabric and I am going to utilize that fold that is on it to be a nice finished edge for my pocket. I'm basically making a wall pocket, and so I'm going to cut out a piece of burlap that's going to cover basically half of my embroidery hoop, and then I'm going to cut out another piece that is going to cover the whole embroidery hoop. And as you can see, I'm leaving some extra all the way around so that I have plenty of fabric. And then I'm going to place the half piece over the top of the whole piece. And I'm going to put that into my embroidery hoop and pull it nice and tight so that it is all flat, smooth, and there's no wrinkles. And you do want to make sure that the screw on your embroidery hoop is at the top of your project because we're going to use that to attach our hanger to. Once I have that pulled tight and I'm happy with how it looks, I am going to trim off the excess fabric. Now that the paint on my word is dry, I'm going to use a little bit of brown paint and dry brush on that just because it seemed so white. I just wanted to kind of tone that down a little bit. Then I'm going to use some hot glue and attach that to the front of the pocket. Then I cut apart my lavender floral stem and I'm just placing that in the pocket. And the last step is to add a hanger. I'm going to use jute twine and put it through that little screw at the top of the embroidery hoop and just tie that. And you could use ribbon or you could use the jute twine hanger and you could add a ribbon at the top. You can really just embellish this however you want. I was just going for a little bit more of a simple look for this project. And I did decide to go back and add a little bit of hot glue on the back of this project where the burlap comes out through the embroidery hoop or in between the embroidery hoop, just to help keep it from pulling out. For this project, I will be using this unfinished wood cross that I picked up at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to be using these little laser cut words also from Dollar Tree. In fact, everything, including this garland, is from Dollar Tree, except this greenery. I had this on hand. And this sign is also from Dollar Tree. I love the finish on this and the size. For $1.25, that's an amazing deal. I'm going to start by removing the jute twine hanger and the label off of the back of the cross. I guess I really didn't need to remove the label because it's not going to show at all, but it's just a habit. Next, I'm going to take my little berry garland and I'm going to kind of figure out the size and how much I need to go around about 3 times and trim that off. And then I am going to just wind that and my little pieces of greenery into a wreath. And so this is just really easy to do. You don't need any extra wire. You can just use that garland because it is wired to form the wreath. So now I'm going to use some jute twine and I'm going to wrap that around the top of the wreath probably 6 or 7 times. And then I'm going to put it through the hole in the top of the cross and wrap it around through that hole over the top of the cross about 3 or 4 times, just to uh, hang it from that cross and just fill up that hole and kind of disguise it. And then I'll secure that on the back using some hot glue and trim off the excess twine. I'm going to position the cross more toward the left side of the sign so that I have room for my word rejoice on the right side. Then I'm going to attach both of these pieces using my Gorilla Hot Glue. I'm really liking the way this project looks with the natural wood tones. What do you think? Would you like to see it with more color, or are you liking the natural look as well? Leave me a comment and let me know. All the supplies for this project came from Dollar Tree, except for my pastel colored paints, although you can find those at Dollar Tree as well. So for this project, I will be using this little wire basket. I'll also be using a package of the plastic eggs and some Easter grass, as well as this white lace ribbon and some of these rub-on transfers. I'll also be using some chalk paint in the color of linen white, and I'm just using some white paint to mix my pastel colors into because I want really pale light pastel colors. So I'm going to put some white paint in my paint tray and then just add a few drops of the colors until I get a mix of colors that I'm happy with. Then I'm going to paint my plastic eggs, and this does take several coats to get a good coverage on them. And so I did use my heat tool to help dry in between coats. I did 2 pink, 2 green, 1 blue, and 1 yellow, but you can do any color combination that you like. Once all the coats of paint are dry, I'm going to go over my eggs with some matte finish Mod Podge. And this will help keep the paint on the eggs, especially when I use the rub-on transfers. It will help keep the transfers from trying to pull the paint off the eggs. And I wanted to make sure that mine were good and dry before I tried to do the transfers, so I did use my heat tool to help dry these. The eggs are plastic, so you don't want to get the heat tool too close to them when you're doing this. While those are completely drying, I am going to prep my little basket. I'm using my lace ribbon to go around the top of the basket, and then I also did go around the bottom of the basket as well. I wanted the handle on my basket to stand up, so I used some hot glue because it didn't want to stand up on its own. Then I'm going to add my Easter grass into my basket, and it will be all ready for my eggs. So now that my eggs are dry, I am going to cut out the words that I want to use from my rub-on transfers. And now I'll just start applying my rub-on transfers, one on each egg. And I am going to make sure that I don't have my eggs all facing the same direction for the words, so that when they're in the basket, they're facing different directions, but you can still read the words. I did decide to go over the top of the rub-on transfer words with the Mod Podge again, just to help seal those onto the eggs and help keep them lasting longer. So I'm going to be honest here, I did not love the way this looked. And like I said, I did end up going back and adding the lace to the bottom of the basket. I thought that helped some, but I still was not really loving this. And so I tried adding some flowers to the basket, and I just decided the basket was kind of not working for me. So I decided to grab this little tray that I had on hand from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to leave it this color. I'm not going to paint it, and I'm going to add the Easter grass and my eggs in here. And when it was all said and done, I actually did like it better. If you are enjoying this video and you like these projects, be sure to hit that like button. That just really helps my channel and helps other people see this video, and it helps me to know what kind of content you like to see. And now on to the next project. I'm going to be using this really cute sign from Dollar Tree. And I'll be using one package of these twine carrots. There are 6 in a package. I'll also be using some of the Dollar Tree square wood beads as well as some of the round wood beads. I ended up using 20 of the square beads and 30 of the round ones. And I'll also be using about 5 feet of this jute twine. So as I said before, this sign is really cute, but I'm actually going to take the little bunny garland off of the sign and use that for this project. I'm going to remove all of the bunnies from the twine that they were on, and I am going to set aside the 2 bunnies that have burlap on them because those I'm going to leave just the way they are. Then I'm going to take the 3 bunnies that have the pattern and colors on them, and I'm going to paint them with several coats of linen white chalk paint. This is of course totally optional. If you like the colors and the patterns, then by all means you can leave them that way. I just was going for more of a neutral farmhouse look, so that's why I decided to paint mine white. Once the paint on these has dried, I'm going to line them all up along with my carrots and just arrange them with my beads so that I know how I'm going to string them onto my twine. So the first thing I'm going to do is tie a knot in one end of the twine so that they won't slide off as I am threading them onto the twine. And I'm not going to put the carrots on now. They're going to get glued onto the twine later. So I'm going to start by threading on my beads. I'll have 5 beads and then a bunny. And then I will have 5 beads again. And then there would be a carrot there, or there will be, but then I'll do 5 beads. So I'm actually, while I'm threading this, I'm going to have 10 beads in between each of the bunnies. And then we're going to add the carrots here in a little bit. And the reason I did it this way is because I just wasn't sure of like the spacing and how much room it was all going to take up. And so I figured I'd just thread on the beads and the bunnies, and then I could glue the carrots on later. However, after I completed this garland, I think I totally could have just glued the carrots on as I went. So it works either way. So now that I have all of my wood beads and my bunnies on my garland, I'm going to start adding my carrots in between, and I'm going to actually fold down the green raffia that is the uh, greenery at the top of the carrots. I'm going to put a little hot glue in there, and then I'm going to kind of sandwich that twine in between that to glue the carrots to the twine. And this worked really well.
Well, those DIYs were a lot of fun to create. I hope that you enjoyed them. And now I'm going to give just a really quick wrap up of what happened here on Lovin' Life's Journey DIY and in our lives for the month of February. So I started out the month, as I always do, with my Dollar Tree Shop With Me and Haul video, where I include what's new at Dollar Tree and also some quick and easy DIYs or tips. And then I always announce the winner of the Dollar Tree mystery box that I give away each month. So make sure you catch that video and enter to win that every month. That's just a box of Dollar Tree goodies that I think are probably hard for you all to find, and I give one of those boxes away every month. So make sure you enter on that. So in my Dollar Tree Shop With Me and Haul video at the beginning of February, I showed you some fun new items that were at Dollar Tree, and I also created this fun little home shelf that was just 2 items from Dollar Tree, really, and it just turned out so cute, and I am still really enjoying having that in my home. I also took these 4 little letter boards from Dollar Tree and combined them together with a few other things and just created a larger letter board to use in your home. And then I took a little break from YouTube for a week because I went to Branson, Missouri for a leadership conference with our church. And I am a director for girls ministries for Southern Idaho. And so I went to this leadership conference, and it is in, like I said, Branson, Missouri. It was a great time, as it always is. I don't have a lot of time to do lots of fun things, but when I first got to Branson, it was the middle of an ice storm. You may have heard that on the news about the ice storm that went through all Missouri and surrounding states. But we made it to the hotel just fine, and stayed at the beautiful Chateau on the Lake in Branson. It's just a beautiful hotel, and just really enjoyed my time there. We did get to do a couple of things, like go out to dinner to Shogun for hibachi, and then also I went with a friend to the Bass Pro Shop in Springfield, which is just a huge store and just so much to look at, more than just shopping. And so if you ever get a chance to go there, especially if you're a hunter or fisherman or outdoorsman, hiking, all the things, they have it. And they also have a museum inside the store as well as an aquarium. So it's just a really cool place to visit. When I got back from Branson, I got back into creating some more DIYs, and I did some fun spring farmhouse DIYs. And you can see some of them here behind me. These were so fun to create, and I just really enjoyed these. So other than the projects in today's video, these are all of my DIYs for the month of February. I will put the links to those videos in the description box below. Oh, and I almost forgot the biggest news of our family for February. Our grandson CJ is now walking. This is a video of his first few steps, and now he is toddling all over the house. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button for me, and I hope you all have a blessed day.